Okay, hold on, Ted, I want to interrupt you. Right now we're seeing Doug McCulloch, that's the tall gentleman, walk out, the prosecutor in St. Louis County, and then the chief of police as well. Doug McCulloch, the prosecutor, now addressing the possibility of arrests in Ferguson.
Should be here in a second.
In St. Louis, for those of you just joining us right now, this is a news conference in St. Louis about the arrests in connection with the shooting of police officers at Ferguson. Now the prosecutor in St. Louis.
I'm going to let you know this morning that we have filed charges just a few minutes ago against Jeffrey Williams. Jeffrey Williams, a 20-year-old man. He is now charged with 2 counts of assault in the first degree for the 2 police officers who were shot a couple days ago in Ferguson in front of the police station. Also charged with firing a weapon from a vehicle, which is a Class B felony in the state of Missouri, and charged with 3 counts of armed criminal action, 1 for each one of those. Essentially, at this point, and the investigation, I want to stress, is ongoing. There's still an awful lot to be done. But the charge at this point is a result of the investigation so far, information that was developed through, or the case developed through information that was provided by members of the public. Essentially what we've charged him with is firing shots. It's possible at this point that he was firing shots at someone other than the police, but struck the police officer. So the charge is still assault in the first degree. They're Class A felonies for striking those 2 officers. There was a weapon recovered, which has been tied to the shell casings that were recovered there. A weapon recovered from him, and he has acknowledged his participation in firing the shots, or that in fact he did fire the shots that struck the 2 officers. So I do want to say first, as with all cases, they're mere allegations, and he's innocent until proven guilty. He is in custody in this building now. The bond is set at $300,000 cash only. The investigation is still ongoing. We know from reviewing what we have so far, the police have done that, that there's still a lot of people out there, we can tell from some of the videos that were there, who may have witnessed this or at least seen parts of it. We can see them looking in certain directions. So what got the police to this point is information that was provided to them by members of the community, and I can't stress how important that is in every case, but certainly in this case it has been invaluable to do that. There's a lot more information, and we can tell from, as I said, the videos, that there are a lot more people who were there who may have something to offer, whether there are additional charges to be filed, whether these charges are adjusted in some manner, or whether there are additional people to be charged. So we'd urge anybody who has any information at all to contact either Crime Stoppers or contact the county police. I will have a copy of the charges available and the probable cause statement if anybody has a few questions at this point. Keep in mind, this is an ongoing investigation. There's still a lot to be done, so there's not a whole lot we can talk about, but I'll tell you what we can.
He was not firing at the police officer.
Well, the evidence developed at this point, and in part on his statement, that he may have had a dispute with some other individuals or felt some dispute. We're not sure we completely buy that part of it, but in any event, it's possible he was firing at some other people, and the officers, of course, were in the back. However, it's still an assault in the first degree. It's a Class A felony.
Sir, do you know what this dispute was about? Who the other?
Well, let me say, first of all, we're not sure there was a dispute. I mean, we have to go on the evidence that we have at this point. Like I said, that investigation is going to continue. There are claims that he's made that he had a bit of a dispute with some other people who were there, which had nothing to do with the demonstrations that were going on, but that he was firing at them as opposed to directly at the police officers. So
he was in the car, you said. He was in the vehicle driving down the main street there?
Correct. Well, he's on that side street, yes.
Was he a passenger or was he driving the car?
I'm sorry?
Was he a passenger?
Well, as I said, there's a lot more investigation that needs to be done. There are a lot of things that still have to be checked out. You know, from previous investigations, that we compare what information we have from people to the physical evidence that's there. Some of that matches up. At this point, some of it does not, and that's still going to go on. But enough certainly right now, certainly enough right now to file these charges. I'm sorry, you were saying?
Does that mean there might be other suspects?
It is possible, but there are other witnesses. Whether there are other people ultimately charged, we have to wait and see. That's why we need the cooperation of the public, the rest of anybody with any information to come in. And again, this is a result of the public contacting the police department, contacting law enforcement, and providing information that led to this gentleman. So,
Mr. Williams,
I'm sorry, what?
Tell us about the weapon that was recovered.
I can't give you a whole lot of detail on it. I can say that the weapon that was recovered certainly is it matches the shell casings that were the shell casings recovered at the scene were fired in that weapon.
handgun, rifle?
It's a handgun. It was a 9 or 40? A 40.
40 count? And so you're saying he was arrested after they got some tips, or these
Correct.
family members, or these?
Well, these are members of the public who provided information. That's as far as we're going to go with that at this point.
So was he involved with the protests?
He had yes. He is a demonstrator. He was out there earlier that evening as part of the demonstration. He's been out there on other occasions, part of the demonstrations. But at this point, it appears that, as you already know, the demonstration was pretty much over at that point. People were leaving, and that's when this came about.
But you don't think that he was targeting the police?
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. No, I wouldn't say he wasn't targeting police. I'm saying right now the evidence that we have supports filing the charge that he may have been shooting at someone other than police and struck the police. That when the investigation is completed and we may be able to disprove a lot that part of it and mess those charges.
You saw a fight out in the street that night.
No.
Protest, was that related to?
No, there was no physical fight, physical altercation or anything involved. So
Is Mr. Williams local?
yes.
From Ferguson?
Sub north. I don't think it's in Ferguson exactly, but in the general vicinity, yes.
And sir, have the wounded officers been notified, and if so, what have their reactions been?
Well, they've been notified, but they're notified by their departments, and so I'm sure they're relieved. But short of that, I have not talked to them. I'm sorry. It was a handgun.
Where was the weapon recovered?
Well, too much. It was recovered pursuant to a search warrant that was issued again based upon information that we received from the public in his residence.
What type of round was it? Was it a full metal jacket or a hollow point?
That's all. I don't know. There's so much more that needs to be done. You know, we're looking at this point right now to see if there is a basis to file charges and hold him at this point. So there's a lot more to be done about the specifics.
Does the video evidence support that he's the shooter?
There is a lot of video out there, and I hope there's a lot more from the various organizations that are here. And if there is anything that may show that or anything at all, certainly we'd appreciate that being provided to law enforcement. At this point, you know, there's audio and video, or there's audio as part of a video where the shots have been fired and the like, but.
There was a red vehicle that turned on Tiffin about 20 seconds before. Was that the vehicle that's involved, and did the shots come from the top of Tiffin as the
The shots did come from that how far up that hill, I don't know, but yes, they came from up in that direction, and the red vehicle certainly was a big part of the investigation, still is. So.
Are you confident that this is the only shooter who was involved?
At this point, no, we're not. I mean, confident that I think that it appears that there's only one person firing shots, but it's possible there may be other people who were with him at the time who were participating in this. But that's where the investigation is going now, among other places. So. You what?
Did he confess or just acknowledge his involvement?
Well, again, I have to be somewhat careful with the rules that are there, and I can't go into the great detail on that. So the information I can say is yes, he's acknowledged firing the shots.
Is Williams known to police?
I'm sorry?
Is he known to police?
He is on probation, yes, here in St. Louis County for receiving stolen property. And actually, I think there's a warrant out for him on that because he has neglected to report for the last 7 months to his probation officer. All righty?
Did the tips qualify for the reward? You heard about the reward.
I'm sorry?
Did the tips from the public qualify for the reward?
Would the attempts do that? Absolutely. I mean, there's that was the purpose of the reward, is to, you know, that anybody has information to bring that information forward. And so that's obviously a determination finally made down the line. But yes, absolutely, it'd be eligible for that. So.
Can you spell his first name for us?
Jeffrey, Jeffrey. Okay, thank you. 20.
And you said he was from North St. Louis County or just St. Louis?
No, yeah, North.
All right, you've been watching a press conference there in St. Louis announcing an arrest in the shooting of 2 police officers at the Ferguson Police Department on Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. We've learned a lot now from Bob McCulloch, the prosecutor there, including the name of the suspect, Jeffrey Williams, 20 years old, on probation, has now been arrested for assault in the first degree. We'll go back to him now for some more questions from Prosecutor McCulloch.
Well, I can't tell you exactly where all this came from, but yeah, I know there are a lot of people who were out there who provided information. Yes, absolutely. But the specifics and I'm sure there were, yes, some who were demonstrators and some who weren't, who were observers, and some who were just out there. But I can't tell you specifically who was doing that, but yes.
So just this dispute that you referred to, is this something that happened earlier in the evening, or something was happening then?
Let me, yeah, and
Who was the dispute with?
I hate to be too terribly vague about it, but you know, we're not 100% sure that there was a dispute. You know, that's you know, part of the claim right now, and so that's something that's being investigated. There are a lot of people around, and it's difficult to tell, particularly just at this point, whether there's an actual back and forth going on, or whether it's on some of the video or not on the video and the like. But that's something that everybody's looking into. It's possible that there was a dispute, and it's possible that he was targeting the police officers. We just have to wait for the investigation to develop more fully. So,
That's what he's
right?
claiming, that there was a dispute?
Well, that's what the evidence, our evidence shows at this point, is the basis for these charges. Yes. Now, but I want to point out specifically, though, he is charged with assaulting these 2 police officers. It's still, regardless of who may be an intended target, you hit somebody, that's still an assault in the first degree. It's still a Class A felony, still punishable by life in prison. That's on each one of the counts pending against him.
Do you know who the target was, or possibly was?
No.
Have you spoken to that individual?
No, that's, like I said, we're looking for anybody who was out there, anybody who has any information, anybody who thinks they might have any information, to contact the county police or Crime Stoppers, and we'll follow up on it. So,
Do the charges change if you determine that he did indeed hit the police officer?
you know, the charge is still going to be assault in the first degree, so it's still essentially the same charge. Yes.
And so given how the officers were lined up that night, were there any civilians around that could have been possible targets?
You know, there were civilians between where the shooter was located and where the officers were. There were civilians between them, so it's not as though there was no one there. So, but at this point, I said there's still a lot more investigation to go on so we can finally determine that. The important point is that yes, 2 officers were shot and seriously injured. And that is the basis of the assault. Whether it ends up as assault of a law enforcement officer or assault in the first degree, it's still assault in the first degree. It's a Class A felony. So,
just
all right, thank you.
No, has anyone come forward and said that I was assaulted by this particular individual?
You know, we have there's no nobody's talked to it, or nobody's made that claim. So, thank
The
you.
individual named Williams who was arrested for arson in Ferguson?
Already announcing
It's
charges.
not the same guy. But I don't know of any relationship. So, okay, thanks.
All right, that was Bob McCulloch, the prosecutor in St. Louis, announcing charges against one Jeffrey Williams, 20 years old, for firing those 3 shots at police officers there at the Ferguson Police Department in St. Louis at a protest Wednesday night, Thursday morning. And evidently, according to the prosecutor at least, Mr. Williams says that he did indeed fire those shots. Now listening to the chief of police.
It's incumbent upon us to make sure these police officers, these victims in this case, understand what's going on with the case, and we in fact did that. So I have no real update in their condition right now. They're getting better, not getting worse. That's good news. So we're certainly, I would just like to commend the investigators. You know, we had leads pouring in not only from the area here, but as far away as the East Coast. Departments trying to assist us, the federal agencies, local agencies, all manner of local agencies, all manner of federal, and the public's a big deal. You're going to hear police commanders say this all the time. We cannot do this by ourselves. We have to have the ability to engage the public two ways to where we can work together or we can't make it happen. In fact, that happened in this case, and I am certainly buoyed by that. That is the way it's supposed to be. In fact, it happened. The outpouring of support from all manner, all strata of folks that are involved in this has been overwhelming, and I do appreciate that also. Thank you, guys.
Chief, real quick, what's the ethnicity of Jeffrey Williams?
Jeffrey Williams is African American. Anybody else?
There was an earlier report that the officers' handcuffs were customarily used in part of this arrest.
I haven't heard that myself yet, so I don't know. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's the police chief there answering a few additional questions there after the news information, the complete background given by the prosecutor there about the suspect in custody right now, Jeffrey Williams, 20 years old, charged with a first-degree, 2 counts of first-degree assault and firing a weapon, and 3 counts of armed criminal action.